Hey guys, it's John and Mel here, and
Hi.
we're doing a quick vlog review of The Dark Knight Returns Part 1 that just got released from Warner Bros. Animation and DC Direct on DVD and Blu-ray. Gotta say, well, first off, I gotta make this comment. I have been hard-pressed to find a DC direct-to-DVD animated film that we didn't like. Probably, and I don't think this would count as much, but I think it was, what was that Superman one? Brainiac Strikes Back or Brainiac's Revenge or something like that. That was horrible. That was so horrible.
Cheaply done.
It was just like someone who does like Bruce Timm style fan art made that movie and somehow got Lance Henriksen to do Brainiac. But Dark Knight Returns Part 1, really good, really well done, pays homage to the Frank Miller graphic novel. Pretty much gets every key scene and gets its style and their angles perfectly. I actually went back and reread the first two books. This is the Part 1's based on the first two books, and then Part 2 will be based on the last two that got released. So, I'll start with you. What did you think of it? I mean, you read the graphic novel, or you remember a whole lot about it?
No, I didn't exactly read the graphic novel. I read the one of the parts of the last part of Part 1, and it was actually in a regular comic series.
Yeah, so you read the
I
end of
only
book
read
one.
like the half of the first part.
Book 1 or book 2?
Book 1.
Book 1. Okay.
So it was pretty much that big, humongous fight at the end.
No, okay, with the mutant?
Yeah, with the mutants.
I
didn't see what happened at the beginning.
Okay, yeah, that is the end of book 1. It's when
at the end of book 1. That's
when he
all
takes
I really read.
Batmobile.
Yeah,
and,
the tank.
Yeah. First, let's talk about the voice cast. What I remember, it's your typical DC animated voice cast. I mean, it's not the Batman animated series cast, obviously. But I mean, you got your standards. You got, I think Steve Bloom's in there, Tara Strong. For the life of me, I can't remember who did Carrie Kelly. I can't remember off the top of my head. But the big thing is that obviously we can't really get Kevin Conroy to do Batman because Bruce Wayne's like what, 60, 70 years old at this point. But then again, in the animated world, he was Bruce Wayne in Batman Beyond, and he did have a scruffier voice, but it wasn't that much more distinguished. Yeah, Batman this time is played by Peter Weller, aka RoboCop. I never picked up onto it first until Bruce started talking, and I'm just like, something familiar about that. And it dawned on me later on. I was like, holy shit, that's RoboCop. That's Peter Weller. And man, Peter Weller does an awesome job. It's definitely a different sounding Batman, and it sounds like this gritty type of Batman that would exist in this universe.
Gritty, but he has more wisdom to share.
Well, yeah. So I'll talk a little bit about, because I went back and reread the first two books, and I'll tell you about a little bit of the changes. The thing I find with these DC comics is that, or these DC animated features that adapt from comics, they change too much, or they change a lot to fit the story. I mean, they cut some things out. They try to keep the generic story, but I find in some cases they cut way too much. Prime example of this, Superman Doomsday. They changed way too much from the World Without, and the Return of Superman.
There was a lot they had to consider, so they probably wanted, and there was probably time was an issue, John.
Well, it's like
everything.
Well, with Superman Doomsday, I think it was just, all right, we need to tell the death and return of Superman, but in the Superman animated series style. I mean, yeah, okay. Why? Yeah. But the thing is, like, why can't we have the reign of the Superman? Why can't we have the Eradicator? Why can't we have Hank Henshaw? Why can't we have Superboy or, God forbid, Steel? I mean, if you get somebody else to voice act him, give him some dignity other than Shaq, it'll be fine. But yeah, I mean, with Superman Doomsday, they changed like, okay, we took out the reign of Superman. Okay, it's just Lex Luthor. He clones Superman a bunch of times. Well, he makes one obedient clone, and then he's got a bunch waiting. But for Dark Knight Returns Part 1, the changes that they made were very, very...
Subtle?
Very, very subtle. Like, it's very noticeable unless you read the comic. But the changes they made doesn't really affect the overall story. I tell you, the one change they made is they completely took out any mention of Superman from the... When there's a part in the comic where...
Well, they kind of did and didn't, and I mean,
well,
you had Lana Lang.
the guy... Well, yeah, Lana Lang doing that thing. But I mean, like, the name of the therapist escapes my head right now. Yeah, he had a Superman shirt on when Harvey Dent was giving this big speech about returning and after the plastic surgery. But there's actually a scene in the comic where right before Bruce has that inner monologue saying that he's not ready to give up the fight as Batman, he actually checks his voicemail. And he has a voicemail from Clark saying that he's going to be out of town. Way out of town. I mean, Superman's going out into space for something. And he actually got a voicemail from Selena Kyle, too. So that was completely taken out. That's not in the movie. Another part that they changed is the scene... Okay, now, here's the thing. They re-edited this because they need to get this for the next part. But... at the end, in the middle of the comic, when the news report's coming out that Batman has resurfaced, they cut the Joker, who is recovering in Arkham, and seems to be okay. He's kind of like in a catatonic state. But in the comic, he does the whole... He starts like going, Batman, darling. Then he gets the grin. They put that at the end of the movie. After the whole mutants disband and become their own Sons of Batman group, so they changed that a little bit. And I can understand for
But it works.
Yeah, it works. It keeps it within.
It gives the cliffhanger.
Yeah, and that's the cliff. That's the last scene of the movie.
Classic.
Spoilers. Is that? Hey, come on, you're watching this. We're spoiling it for you. So, yeah. So Joker does that. There's a couple of other scenes in the comic that they cut. That really didn't even matter. After the resurgence of Batman, like after Bruce Wayne starts taking out the costume again, the cowl and the costume, there's a couple of parts in the comic where they're talking about there's these criminals, these psychopaths, and they start going on murders rampages blaming the Batman. So it's kind of like the whole, alright, Batman is creating these people. There's like one part where a criminal like shoots, gets a guy to dress up like Batman and shoots him in cold blood. But everything else, besides those changes, everything else is pretty much like, okay, let's open up the comic. Okay, we need to do these shots. Here's the dialogue. We gotta get everything down. They pretty much like... The script was the comic, which I really, really appreciated.
It was the script and the storyboards.
Yeah.
That's the best way to do it.
Essentially, and this is one of those ones that, at a lot of the DC ones, at the early DC movies, they played it safe when it came to blood, gore, and death. Especially in Superman Doomsday, it's implied that Doomsday is killing people, but you never actually... They're all off-screen deaths. Which, kind of unfair, but then again, it's marketing to kids. But there's definitely, like, the fight with the mutant leader, both fights are actually pretty graphic. And of course, there's that iconic scene where the mutant leader, Batman just... kicked all the mutants' ass and the mutant leader's in jail, and the mayor goes in to try to negotiate a settlement so that the mutants don't go to war with Gotham. And then you hear this like really high-pitched scream, they go back in and the mutant, like there's just blood everywhere and the mutant just ripped the mayor's throat out. I really appreciate that they try to dumb this down for kids. Like, I mean, this is not, like this cartoon is not your kids' Batman.
Cartoon.
No. It's definitely for the adults and the fans of Batman. that's really all I can think of to say. I mean, this is great. I can't wait for part 2. So like I said, I'm rereading book 3 and 4, so I know, so I can know what they're going to change. Since Superman wasn't mentioned in this one, I doubt that we'll see it because I'm pretty sure he's in the 3rd and 4th book. Don't quote me on that. And don't go like, you should know better. You should read the comic book first. I'm like, I can't get to it. No. He wasn't even mentioned in the movie. He was mentioned in the comic books. I mean, he has a conversation with the President of the United States.
Oh.
And then he leaves a voicemail for Bruce. But yeah, we'll see. I mean, if they take Superman out completely, I'm okay with that because this is really a Batman. This is the Batman graphic novel. This is the Batman movie. Really, we don't need Superman. I mean, we've had Batman and Superman movies. We've had Apocalypse, which was based on the Supergirl graphic novel. We've had Public Enemies, based on the same name. So we really don't need Superman in this. So great movie. Final thoughts from you?
I thought it was pretty good, but I thought it wasn't dark enough.
I
mean, coloring.
Oh, okay, coloring wise.
Well, it seemed to be bright in some areas, but I thought the original comic was a lot darker looking than what they had.
Yeah, it was originally drawn in the 80s there, so.
I know, but I still thought it was almost a good representation of Frank Miller's work, but I just felt that it was a little brightened up.
I'm probably gonna have to disagree with you on that. I mean, you probably you just remember what you read originally, the last book.
Well,
I've got the book.
I've seen some other stuff, but just bits and pieces. So, like I said, don't expect me to agree with almost everything.
Yeah, and I guess with the character design, they really matched everything. Like everything, everyone looks how they look in the book.
I can agree with that part.
Yeah.
But it's been such a long time since I read the graphic novel, I mean, start to finish, so I can't really vouch very much.
Yeah. Well, we got them here if you want to read them.
Where? We'll find it later.
Yeah, we'll find it later. Yeah. Yeah, the Dark Knight Rises comes out in December. Dark Knight Returns Part 1. Awesome flick. Go pick it up if you haven't already. What are you laughing at? They're very similar names.
Yeah, I just found it just cute that he got the two mixed up.
Alright, so yeah, Dark Knight Returns Part 1. Awesome movie. Can't wait for Part 2. And we'll do this again for Part 2.
Might as well.
Yeah. Alright, see you later.